Summer reading doesn't have to be a fight. With a few tweaks and twists and playful little maneuvers, you can keep your child learning and reading all summer, and they can avoid that summer slide without the moans and groans. Today, I'm going to be sharing 3 fun reading activities that can help prevent the summer slide while making reading feel like a treat and not a task. I hope you stick around. Hi, I'm Trina Debris, one tired teacher turned readers in the making. And today we're going to be talking about, you're going to learn 3 different ways or easy ways to turn fun reading into fun this summer. I'm going to share activities that require little to no prep, and I'm going to help guide you into how to help your child love reading, even if they say they don't want to, or at least keep reading. They're going to love it too, though. All right, so let's start with activity number 1. Activity number 1 is a reading picnic. Now, I know that sounds simple, and it is. It is simple. It really is as easy as that, because the struggle is reading indoors often feels like school. So when we change up the setting, when we change the scenery, it really makes all the difference. We can grab a blanket, we can grab snacks, we can grab a few favorite books, we can head to the backyard or the picnic or the park. The park is what I'm trying to say. The living room floor. We can go under the dining room table with blankets over it like a fort. We can let kids bring stuffed animals or their own furry friends and a flashlight for extra fun. This can really make a huge difference. Let me tell you about a little story about how I changed the setting in 2 places, in my classroom and in the media center. When I was in the classroom teaching 2nd grade, we had a silent reading time every single day when then I met with small groups and kids were reading, independent reading time. And I was really good at getting kids to sustain reading. And the reason I was so good at it was because I changed the setting. When I noticed, and I would very often look, when I noticed kids were really into their book, I would say, let's say Billy, you're doing a really great job reading. I'm like, why don't you go away from your seat? And he would get to pick where he went. Like he could lay on the floor, he could lay on, I had a couch, I had another little tent area in my classroom. He could go in there, he could go wherever he wanted. And that made all the difference. That helped kids keep reading. And then other kids would be like, oh, she saw Billy reading. Let me show her what I'm reading. And then I would, pick them to move away from their seat. It was great. Or a whole team to move away from their seat. And then when I was doing book clubs with 5th graders in the media center, they would come in and sometimes we would just start to feel stale. And so I'm like, let's go on the playground. And we'd go out on the playground. It was the absolute best. You just have to change the scenery sometimes. All right, let's talk about why this works. Why does this work? It makes reading feel like a special event, and it encourages calm, quiet time disguised as play. All right, let's look at activity number 2. Before we do that, I'd love if you give me a thumbs up. If you're like, yes, this sounds like a great idea, I'm totally going to try it, give me a thumbs up, comment in the comments. My glasses are crooked. Comment in the comments and let me know what one of these activities you tried. All right, activity number 2, a book-inspired craft. Now, the struggle is that kids often don't remember what they've read, and we have to change that because comprehension is the key. That is the main goal. So the solution or the shift is to let them turn it into a creation. Like, for example, maybe they've read The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and they're going to make a caterpillar out of pom-poms. Or they've read Harold and the Purple Crayon, and they're going to create their own adventure on a poster board. That's a craft. That's something that's just everybody who's going to do, everyone's going to do the same kind of thing. We're going to make the caterpillar out of pom-poms. It's all going to look pretty similar. Maybe they'll pick their own different colors. But what if we did a Makerspace extension instead? What if we had an open-ended solution. Not everybody did make the same thing. Not everybody did make a caterpillar. Let me show you a quick example. So I love this book, Dear Mr. Blueberry. It's about this little girl named Emily who thinks there's a whale in her pond, and she's writing to her teacher, Mr. Blueberry, to tell him about it. So the problem is, how are they going to get the whale out of the pond? Well, what's the solution? Instead of having kids create a craft, we have them challenge them to create a solution. So now they have to think. They have to think about what kind of solutions they would create. So they brainstorm solutions, they plan a solution, then they create the solution using simple materials like Play-Doh or Legos or blocks or pipe cleaners or cardboard or popsicle sticks. All the fun things that we already have at home. So that's a way of making a Makerspace extension rather than just a craft. Either way, we're making something more exciting with the book. So let's talk about why that works. This works because it builds comprehension through art. It builds it through critical thinking if we're using Makerspace extensions. It also helps kids retell stories in their own way, which can make them feel like they're a part of the story. All right, so if you think this is really helpful and you're like, yes, I love it, give me a thumbs up. I'd love for you to share this video with a friend, especially a mom or another teacher that's like, I'm having such a hard time getting my kids excited about reading this summer. All right, book or activity number 3, and that is a book scavenger hunt. So the struggle here is that kids need a goal sometimes to stay motivated, to be excited, especially in the summer when they're feeling like it's time for a break. So how do we shift this? We make reading feel like a game. In fact, we turn it into a game. Maybe we hide clues from the book around the home. So for example, if I were going to use this book, Dear Mr. Blueberry, some things I might hide around the home. I might hide a toy whale. I might put a whale somewhere. I might put a letter to my child because Mr. Blueberry is writing back to Emily. I might hide letters all around the house. I might put them under someone's pillow or under the bed or in the pantry or, in the bathroom behind the toilet or something like that, so that they have to find the clues. And we want it to be clues about the story. So it could be a whale, it could be letters, it could be, what else could we do? We could probably do, even the pond, like if we had a little, figurine thing of a pond or something like that. Anything that has to do with the story. And it's this one, the setting doesn't change a bunch of times, so it's a little harder to do some of the things in the setting, but you can definitely do some of even the characters. Maybe you make a little Emily, you use a Barbie and you make a little Emily and a Mr. Blueberry, all these things that you could do. All right. So we make these things a game. And speaking of games, I want to share with you something that I created, that I wrote for kids, especially during the summer. And it's called Hilarious Would You Rather, This or That, Writing for Kids. And it's 50 different prompts of would you rather, and then the kids respond to it. So in this situation, it's would you rather be buried and stand for an hour or wear sunglasses all day? And then your child responds. So it's reading and writing and getting them to write. And there's 50 different prompts, and there's also different responses. So some of it they have to actually just do, like, here's my reason, 1, 2, 3. Because we want them to say because. This is them drawing themselves as their choice. They also sometimes have to write a story about their choice. So there are different ways of responding. And then at the end, there's 5 different would you rather creates. So they have an opportunity to create things as well. So I hope you'll grab this. It's on Amazon. I'm very excited about it. All right, so we're making reading into a game. Why does that work? That works because we add movement, we add excitement to reading, and that brings reading to life. We encourage an attention to detail, and we encourage memory recall. So all of these things are really positive. All right, so final thoughts. I want you to not let reading slip away this summer. Make it something that your child looks forward to. A little creativity goes a long, long way. And don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter, Readers in the Making. You can find the details right below, and you can jump onto my email list. And I send out an email every Monday giving you some tips on and strategies for reading with your child or in your classroom. And don't forget to grab Would You Rather, hilarious Would You Rather. And if you would be so kind to leave a review on Amazon, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, don't forget to like this video, to share this video with friends, and to subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you soon.